Hey everyone, and welcome to the NintendoFuse Podcast. This is episode 252. Tonight we're going to be talking all about the recent sales numbers for the Nintendo Switch. Been continuing to sell like crazy, surpassing the PS4. We're also going to be talking about the recent Indie World Showcase from May 11th and a lot more. And we're so glad that you guys are joining us. We have a live chat going right now. Hello to everybody in the live chat, both on YouTube and Twitch. And yeah, we're so grateful to have you guys there. If any the things that we talk about during this live recording, you want to jump in and let us know your thoughts, what you've been playing, and all that stuff, feel free to do that. And we'll be referring to that throughout the podcast, of course. And before we get any further, we should probably do some introductions, just in case someone is new to the NintendoFuse podcast. My name is Steve, and I'm one of your co-hosts, but also joining us is Barry. Hey, Barry, how's it going?
Hey, Steve. It's always a pleasure. Great to be back. Last week or 2 weeks ago, we had a record, so it wasn't live. So it's great to be live again with everybody in the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. And Greg, good to see you again, too.
Yes, likewise. As Barry said, it's great to have it live again. There's always a different feel to like actually having being able to interact with like the chat room and everything, and then just having it pre-recorded.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of which, yeah, if you missed episode 251, the one right before this, we did pre-record that, and we're actually gonna have to pre-record our next one as well. So sorry about that. Summer's just kind of crazy. I know I'm traveling a lot, and we got different things going on. So normally we do record every other Monday live, and we do encourage you to jump in the chat as we just talk about all things Nintendo. We love interacting with you all throughout the episodes. So again, hello to our chat. We got Jakester, Kevin, Blake. Blake's in there. Sweet. We
Yeah.
haven't seen Blake in a while. And I was just reading along, just expecting and to see that all the time. Jared's in there too. So lots of people jumping in the chat. Be sure to say hello. And we're going to be talking in just a minute about games we've been playing. And so we would love for you to do that as well. But before we jump into that, we just want to encourage you guys to follow us on social media. We're at Twitter, at NintendoFuse. And also, if you have not joined us on our Discord as well. We absolutely love having you guys in our Discord and just able to chat about games and life and everything else in between episodes. It's a great growing community we got over there. So make sure you hit up the link on the screen or the link in the show notes or the YouTube description as well. So yeah, social media, Discord, be sure to do that. But let's jump into what we have been playing, and we'll go to Barry first.
Yeah. So this has been kind of a lighter week or 2 weeks in terms of game content, in terms of like different games. But whenever I've had time, I've been captivated. So on the Switch front, it's the usual: Animal Crossing and Pokemon Unite, just doing the daily stuff, and it's getting to that point where it's like I don't know how much longer I'm gonna keep doing them because it almost feels more busy work than anything else. But I'm still doing them, and on the PS5 side, I did play a little of the multiverses, which was that's in alpha for a couple days, and thankfully one of our newest staff writer, Lunchbox, he had some extra codes, so he gave me one. He asked if I tried it, so I tried it on PlayStation. It's Smash Brothers. I mean, it's very. It feels very similar to Smash Brothers, but it also feels a little more chaotic. And I think that's because you have it's a faster paced game. I feel, and you have a lot of recovery. Everybody has the same double jump, but you can do your up with the equivalent of like the up B twice, and you can do air dashes twice, and it felt like the only way to get knocked off was really to get the percentage up and just hit them so they can't recover. It's also a team-based thing, so did teams. It was 2v2, and every character has team-based maneuvers, and some of them are like literally will grab your opponent and pull them back. So like your opponent could go off the edge and beat on their opponent. And you can just pull your partner back onto the field, no problem. Um, it's pretty interesting to see how it works, but it feels good. I don't know how it's going to be in the full game. It is a free-to-play game, so that means there's a pass that you could purchase, and there's daily things to log in to do, and all the stuff is cosmetic, but you do have to unlock some characters. It's a good roster from the get-go of what you can play, but it's one of those things. I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna really play it. Uh, Even though I'm attached to a lot of the characters, I'm also not attached to some of them. But I'm glad they're doing this as a thing. It's weird the Switch wasn't included. I don't know if it's not coming to Switch. Maybe they're just fear coming, competing with Smash Brothers. But it's a free to play game, so I don't see why they don't. But yeah, so that's a thing. But
Is
my
it
main,
gonna jump in there? Is it
yeah.
much different from Brawl? Is it Brawlhalla? Is it there
Oh
the
God, it's
brawler that
much
hit?
better than Brawlhalla.
Much better than that.
Much
Okay.
better. I did not like Brawlhalla at all. Like I said, I enjoyed this. I did not enjoy this more than Smash Brothers. I felt, like I said, I felt it was just kind of crazier than Smash Brothers, and at least right now, all there is online, and you don't need a PS Plus or anything like that to play, because I don't have that, and I was able to play, but it's only online. So I don't know how the single player content is, if there is even single player content. I don't know, but I just had fun just messing around with it. I wasn't doing it seriously. But the main thing that I was playing, which is a game that I thought about maybe I would mess around with and most likely give up relatively soon, just to say I did it, was Elden Ring. Because I played Dark Souls, I played Demon Souls, and I played Bloodborne, and all three of them I enjoyed up until a point when the bosses kicked my ass and I couldn't continue, and I was getting frustrated. And I never was a fan of the Dark Souls system where you're alive, and then when you die, you're dead, and you have less health, and you can't. It's harder to summon people, and you get alive again. You're like, yay, and then you die, and it's like, oh, it just never gripped me. But Elden Ring has absolutely absorbed me in a way I did not expect. The game is ridiculously massive, uh, and not massive in the sense of there's so much stuff and I just don't care to do it. Like that was my problem with Horizon when I played Forbidden West. Is by the time I just beat the game, I didn't do 90% of the things I felt like. I just didn't care. It was like, oh, I could do this for the sake of doing it. I didn't care. It showed you on the map where everything was. It was like no exploration. It was like, oh, this is over here, this is over here. Elden Ring doesn't tell you anything, and it's literally, oh, I've never went over here. Like I am on what I could be guess one of the final areas of the game, and it's like, oh, I never did the second palace. I never went in. I never found the key. And then I
Hmm.
went back to it and I just wiped the floor with everything. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm always discovering every day. Like, oh, there's a new quest here I never did. Oh, here's a new boss here I never did. A new dungeon. Uh, it's just massive. And it's like, it surprised me too, because I'm like, well, the overworld, it's like small when you start. And then as you gain new map pieces, it zooms out. And I'm like, oh, it just keeps getting bigger. And then you go underground and you realize there's a whole underground that's like almost the size of the above ground map. I'm like, oh my god, like this game is massive, and it gave me a lot of Breath of the Wild vibes of like when I was just exploring Breath of the Wild and playing. uh Very well done. The penalty of death is nothing. You lose your runes, and if you can get back, you get them, but there's no like living dead system. You are the same. And I play offline. I don't have PSN, so online you get people invading you, or you could call in friends, and I'm sure that's a great. I'm probably missing one of the best aspects, but I'm playing offline. There are NPCs that invade. They act like, and they're only in set points, so you don't have to worry about it. But you could also get summons, which is cool because I'm a fighter, and you can summon like different enemies if as long as you get the summons to help you on bosses, and that's one of the reasons I'm able to beat some of the bosses. But I never felt intimidated, even like, oh my god, it's a big dragon. Oh, what am I going to do? Like, no, I'm going to go for it.
Hmm.
And I can't recommend it enough. I never thought I would say this. I thought this. I had no interest in it. I didn't even pre-order it. I got it after the fact. Elden Ring, I have no interest. No, I don't care. And now I'm hooked, and I can't put it down. And
Nice.
like when I go to bed, I'm thinking like, oh, I still need to do this, and I need to do this. Like that's how I know it's gripped me. So that has absorbed any amount of playtime I've had,
Wow.
for the most part. It is that good of an open world RPG, and
Wow.
I never thought I would be saying those words because I was just never interested in it. But now I
Yeah.
see why. And it's what Jar Jar R. Martin. So if you like Game of Thrones, it's like a lot of that stuff.
Cool. Cool.
So yeah,
Do,
that's been my main draw.
nice. Do you think now that you're into it and everything, is it I mean, it's probably not going to happen, but would it be possible to actually run this on the Switch, or is it way
No,
too
no,
powerful?
way
Yep.
too powerful. I will say it's also very accessible. Like, very, compared to other Souls game, it's very accessible. And it's one of those where you will die, but you will get better. And the more you learn, and it's not even like there's been a few bosses that like I would fight it and it would be like, all right, it killed me for the sixth time. I'm gonna go on. It's never been a roadblock. Even with the story, like the main story, you need to kill this guy. When he beat me, I just went elsewhere. I'm like, I'm gonna go explore, and then I came back and it was stronger, or I farmed some gear from enemies, and then I just wiped the floor with them. I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, cool, okay. I feel like I've made progress, and that's I don't like to hit like a wall in any video game and feel I can't progress past that wall. Like there's nothing else I can do. Like I either beat this or I don't, then I just have to keep sitting there trying to. I don't like that. I like, all right, let me take a breather. Let me go do some other stuff. Let me get a little stronger. Let me get some new moves or figure out things better and then come back. And this game allows that. And I like
Nice. That's
that.
cool.
Other than that, I've still been playing 14, not as much, but still running some stuff. And still doing Dragalia Lost as a very, very half-assed type of thing. And Mario Kart Tour.
Nice. Nice. I'm gonna go to the chat real quick, and a lot of conversations going on there. It looks like Jakester says been playing Triangle Strategy, Advance Wars, Lego Star Wars, The Skywalker Saga, and can't finish the story because of a bug. I have not played it since the first time that my wife and I played it, so we've not encountered that bug. But that kind of sucks, Jakester. Sorry about that. I know you were looking forward to that game a lot. Looks like Kevin's wondering if we played the Pokemon Bloom thing or Pikmin Bloom thing. I installed it and then it sat there on my phone for forever, and I finally just uninstalled it just the other day. So I don't know if you guys touched it at all.
I haven't touched it in like 3 days or
I
4 days after it came out.
I never even booted it up. I don't think I downloaded it even.
Nice. Dara Tiger says been playing lots of. Wow, how do you pronounce that one?
Atelier, Sophie too.
Atelier. Okay.
Or Atelier, actually, would be
Atelier.
better.
I don't know what that game is. You're gonna have to tell me about that. And
It's a RPG series.
okay,
Very, very popular. Been around for a while. PS2, I think, was the first one.
nice. That's cool. Looks like Jakester logs into Pikmin on occasion, but doesn't go often. Jared's usually a Pokemon Go, Pikmin Bloom, Mario Run, and Mario Kart. So a lot of mobile there. Kevin's been playing Demon's Tier Plus. Blake has been playing, or sorry, he's talking about Elden Ring. But yeah, really excited about it, but still hasn't gotten a PS5. Yeah, so Jakester says it's the bug in Lego Star Wars is only in the Switch version. So that is actually the version I got. So that's really unfortunate, and I hope I don't encounter that. Is it something that happens to everyone, or like only certain criteria will trigger the bug? So if I know of ahead of time, maybe I can avoid it. That's what I'm wondering. So we'll have to chat, Jakester, and make sure I maybe see if I can avoid that bug when I start to play it. iDrewby also says just picked up Atelier or Atelier, either way how you pronounce that. Sophie too, and it's an Alchemist Workshop game. That's interesting. All right, I'm gonna have to look that up because that sounds really intriguing now. So, Greg, what have you been playing lately?
This time it's more like a concentrated effort. I didn't try to see how many titles I could hit, so I spent a good amount of time in each of the ones that I'll be going through. I finally decided to open up Animal Crossing again after a pretty few month hiatus, and just been doing some more rehab on my island because it's kind of stressing me out that it's not like organized in a way that I want it to be. So I'm kind of getting motivated to get it into like a final form before I can really put the cap on that and call it a day on it. I was playing a lot of Switch sports, and spoiler alert, I'll be diving more into that like in a little bit for our game chat. Then I finally got around to continuing Fire Emblem Warriors after like several podcasts of saying that it was on my backlog that I never finished. So I'm like up to like chapter like 13 or 14 now. So I'd stopped playing after like 6, so it was like some good progress made there, and hoping to get that underway before New Hope comes out in next month. And then I've really had the desire to finish up Pikmin 3 Deluxe, so I opened it back up on my daughter's Switch, and I got every single badge and went full 100% completion. Every single badge, did every single mission mode, all the battle things I did with my daughter. So it was such a great and wonderful game, and I really hope to see more for Pikmin 4 if it ever comes out. Feels like it's been in development for since Pikmin 3 came out on Wii U, but
That's true.
who knows?
Yeah. Well, Pikmin 3 was long rumored and finally came out and everything. So maybe we'll just that's the case for Pikmin games moving forward.
I mean, they could easily make stuff more expansive. I mean, I don't understand why like it doesn't need to be as small as it was.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just like a few levels, and the levels, I mean, are really good size. But I can't imagine like if they could make just a few extra levels or something, and it still adds a lot more content because it's not like you're limited on a lot of things there. Like they could really pack the levels with full of fruit and enemies and stuff like that too. So
Yeah, that's true. Cool.
and then finally just was still playing Fire Emblem Heroes, so it's still ongoing and still going strong. It's not being shut down, at least that I know of.
For now. We'll see.
It's their highest grossing mobile game. I would think Nintendo would be shutting down pretty much every game on the mobile apps if it's
Which,
unless
who knows?
I mean, it could certainly decline in revenue over time, but it still seems to be holding up pretty solid since its release. But you
Yep.
never know, though.
That's true. Well, I actually added a new game. So of course I've been playing Rocket League and Crash Royale. I actually get up to Diamond 2. So highest level I've gotten so far, which is pretty exciting. I'm like halfway through Diamond, and I might actually finally hit champion rank. So it's pretty exciting. But yeah, there's been some new modes and everything lately, and actually like throwing some new stuff in there. So it's been exciting to have some, something to go back to, I guess, rather than just a basic game. As we wait for the inevitable, hopefully sometime they'll they'll release a new version of it on Unreal 5 is what we're hoping for, but we'll see. And then I finally played some Robot Name Fight. So been telling you guys, I feel like for 10 episodes, maybe something like that everyone's going to play it. So
Like that.
finally did. And yeah, it's definitely Super Metroid vibes for sure, like what you guys said. And I think I'm still deciding if I like or not like the roguelike aspect of the game. It's not as annoying as some roguelites out there for sure, but it still is really, it's annoying when I'm like, oh, I made it a really good distance and I made some progress and I was like, I know exactly where to go, and I boot up the next thing and I restart and it's all different again. That's kind of annoying. So I love like the concept of that. I like, all that, but when you're actually getting into it, the realities of it, it does get annoying when you're like, oh man, I made it all the way to the boss and I didn't, like the very first time, whatever boss I got, I couldn't jump over him for some reason, and I didn't know why, and so I just died. Like it wouldn't let me jump over, or somehow he, like that's a power of his. I don't quite understand. But I did get to the boss, and he just totally just pinned me in the wall, and I died because there was no way to avoid it. And I had already used my special up because I didn't know the next room was going to be the boss. And so I had accidentally used my special because I somehow bumped the R button and wasted it all in the level before, and the room before that. And then all of a sudden I'm pinned in there with the boss, and he just kills me and start over again. So I made it to the next boss, and I don't know, something happened, and so like that part is annoying that I have to start over and like learn where I'm going, and I'm not sure it's like total exploration. There's nothing like you get a map when you open each level, but I don't know where that leads to. So if you like the total exploration kind of thing, this would be for you. But if that kind of stuff sounds annoying and you're like, just tell me where to go, you probably will get frustrated by this game. But the concepts behind like if you like Super Metroid, like these guys have said before, like Barry and Greg have said before, if you like Super Metroid, you're going to like this style of game for sure. But the roguelike stuff is still kind of iffy if I like that aspect of Robot Name Fight. So.
Well, the nice thing is each thing is different because you don't always get the same bosses, you don't always
Right.
get the same powers, and once you start to, it's like Dark Souls or like, when you die, like, oh, okay, now I learned what to do next time, and you're a little more cautious, and
Sure.
you start to see
That's
patterns.
if I get that next time. Like it might be totally different the next time I play.
Yeah, I've on my numerous playthroughs. Everything's been, a lot of the bosses are basically completely different. Like haven't seen too many of the same bosses like several times. So I think there are a few that have like repeated, but I've done quite a number of runs. But I really wish there was like almost a continue like in that same seed without having to punch it in, and you keep all your stuff. I'm fine with it like being completely different if I want to start a new game and have like the map can be completely different. But to feel like you lose all of your progress on the death is kind of makes it unsettling, and that's kind of where I'm at to not really want to continue, because it's very frustrating to like, oh, I got like 2 weapon upgrades, I got like all these speed and power beam upgrades, and then boom, just all right, it's like somebody just erased my save file and time to start over again. It's like,
Well, one of the nice things about it is every time you beat a boss, you unlock a new power that can appear in future runs. So the more bosses you kill, the farther you get, makes every run after that significantly easier, because more powerful things more like power-ups will appear or have a possibility of appearing. But they actually take, like, the most powerful things are not in the pool when you start. Like, you can't get the overpowered stuff. So as you progress and as you start beating, you're like, oh, okay, now this is now in the pool. And this is now in the pool, and each run gets a little bit easier because you'll get different power-ups and you get stronger power-ups. And there's a lot of cryptic stuff that, unfortunately, like the shrines, like you can donate ships to shrines to get different power-ups and stuff like that. And some of this stuff is just insanely powerful, but you have to know what to do, and that's where the premium guide that we have really helps, because that information really isn't online, and knowing that does make the game significantly easier.
Yeah. I mean, that's my cue to purchase the premium guide.
We will be selling that separately, actually.
Yes, I might need it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you saying something about like there was a way to either unlock it or something like that, but I couldn't remember what the trigger was. But so it's beating a boss will then trigger that to be unlocked for future runs.
We'll trigger a special, like one of the special power-ups will be now in the pool. It doesn't guarantee it in your next run or your next 5 runs, but it's now in the the RNG. It will now be a possibility. And the more you beat, the more powerful stuff get there. So the more you run through, the more and more powerful you get. And there are people who have beaten it multiple times that can now just like, I could beat the whole thing in like an hour. It's not like Super Metroid in the sense of like Super Metroid's a big expansive map that you explore. These are much, much smaller. It's like 5 or 6 sections.
Yeah.
Really, really small, because it's designed that you could beat it in like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and you beat the game. But then you just replay it.
Okay. I was wondering, I wasn't sure how long it was going to be, but it seemed like it was probably going to be a shorter experience.
Yeah, it's a shorter overall experience because it's designed that way. But then when you play it again, you're getting a brand new experience this time.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
yeah, I feel like I don't even know how far I get to even, if I'm even like halfway at that point. I mean, I've beaten like 2 or 3 bosses, but I don't know how many can even appear in a single run. So like, I don't know if it's halfway. I don't know if it's a third of the way. I don't know if it's like 25%. I mean, I don't like. There's no
you have
concept.
the guide, Greg.
You should check out the
I don't
guide.
even have the guide. You have the guide.
Nice. Looking at the chat, Jake's going to start Super Metroid next week since he can't finish Star Wars. Sorry about that again. And he said earlier in the chat as well, that's on episode 9. So I'm just going to avoid episode 9 for now. And, that's okay anyway. So I'm just playing through episode 4, 5, and 6 currently. And then Polar Knights joined us and says, as a barber, he loves this show because it's a perfect evolution of beard growth. Okay, thanks. Cool. And Blake's also wondering if we're going to be playing Mario Strikers. Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. I'm going to be playing some smart Super Mario Strikers. I don't know about these guys, but it is day one purchase for me for sure.
I mean, I definitely plan to get it and play it. I don't know how long it'll hold my attention if it's anything like the GameCube and Wii one, where they set the difficulty level to like master on normal. Like, I won't be playing it long, but it certainly has me very interested because
yeah,
I did like the previous entries. I just felt like you can't beat the computer on like a normal setting, just like win like a standard gold cup. Like it felt like it was like impossible. I'd get the ball and boom, he hits me and stolen, boom, boom, shoots another goal, boom, point, gets me. It's like
it's possible, but you kind of got to spend a long time with the game. I don't even know how many hours I spent with that game, but it is possible. And I got there. Yeah.
Because I mean, I can sweep like the first few teams, like and go like have very fun matches, and then all of a sudden it's like in the champions round, and then you just get the ball and they immediately steal it and like try to score on you, and it's not very fun.
Yeah. Jakester suggests they should do a global test fire kind of thing like they did for Splatoon 3. I agree. I think this is another great game that they should be able to do like a test kind of run with it, samples like they do with ARMS and other games too. So I wouldn't actually be surprised if we do see that at some point in the near future. And, and if they do jump on that, it's usually like a couple days or a few hours over a course of a week or something like that. And definitely check that out if you're interested, or maybe they'll come out with some sort of demo for it as well. So, well, let's jump into our review this time, and we're going to be talking all about Nintendo Switch Sports specifically. Greg's got this review because he's the only person that's actually spent significant time with this game. I don't even own it yet. I don't think Barry's fired it up yet, but Greg's been playing all around. So, Greg, tell us all about Nintendo Switch Sports.
All right. Well, yeah, if you've played Wii Sports, then a lot of these games are very similar. Like you start with like tennis and bowling, and then in addition, you also get like the sword fighting one, which is like Chambara, and there's also some new ones like soccer, tennis, and volleyball. So I spent, as with most time in bowling, so it's fun to start off there. And basically, it feels very similar to the Wii Sports Resort version, where like you have an accurate Joy-Con that like mirrors your movement. So it's a little bit easier to aim your shots because you can use like the joystick to move back and forth, or like use like the arrow buttons, I guess, which would be Y or A, and then those can like shift like your aim. So it's much easier to line up your shot. You don't have to like switch modes or anything to do it. And then they also added like a countdown timer, only to have like 15 seconds to do your aim and throw. So then you're not like wasting everybody else's time that's doing it. And bowling online is actually very intuitive the way they did it. They did like a tournament mode where you get eliminated after like 3 frames of bowling if you're not like in the higher scoring group. So if you're struggling, you don't have to sit there and struggle for all 10 frames. You'll just get booted and you can start another game where you might have better luck or whatnot if you can hone in on your skills. So it's pretty interesting that the way they've changed it around and made it more suitable for online play. You can start like with 16 other players, and then by the frame 10, there's only 3 or 4 players left that are competing for the actual win of that round. So that was very cool the way they have changed that up a lot. Tennis is basically very similar to what you expect on also Wii Sports Resort and Wii Wii Sports. It's very basic, and you're just kind of swinging the racket. It does know if you're swinging it from the left or the right hand side, so then your character follows suit. Like if it's a backhand shot or like a front shot, you do signify if you're left or right handed when you're playing. So that's how it detects that. Um, it's also works very similar to badminton as well because it's very similar to tennis, obviously. And then there's like some on-screen controls that you can use for like drop shots and other customizations to hit it differently or whatever. So that's very intuitive the way they implemented those controls. Volleyball has been a very interesting one because you have to like do sets and bumps, and it's pretty much just moving the remote up or moving it in a down motion to between them. So it's kind of interesting that the way they did volleyball. So it is a lot of fun, and would still recommend it. Just definitely play through the practice rounds and pay attention to the guide that it shows the first time you boot up the game. Then for soccer is also very cool the way they did that. Like you have to have two Joy Cons to actually play it. So like you can use it's primarily just using one to like kick it, and then if you are doing a headbutt kind of shot, then you have to like shake both of them at the same time. I didn't really try with the little like band that goes around your leg, so I wasn't able to thoroughly review how accurate that was to actually use like your foot for one of the Joy Cons, but it was definitely very responsive and a lot of fun. And those matches are just like 2 minutes complete for a full game of soccer. So if you don't score, it just goes into overtime until the first team that scored will win there. The sword fighting one is basically a carbon copy of the Wii Sports Resort. It's got the same kind of like the stabbing motions from side to side and diagonal and vertical, and everything works just the way it did there. They did add an option where you can use two swords, and pretty much both of them work the same in both hands. So like you're still able to block, and it just has to be the opposite kind of move to block it. And to get through it, you would just do the same one that they're actually blocking with. So it was really cool to see that one back. That was my favorite from Wii Sports Resort. And yeah, I pretty much spent most of the weekend just playing solo by myself, and then did a few online matches with my daughter. It was really great that you can have two people on the same system be playing online. And we had a lot of fun doing that, and every single week they release new outfits for your characters to wear, so then you're constantly coming back to unlock them. So it's great to kind of see you get all sorts of content as the game goes on, and I have no idea if they'll repeat the items. I would assume they would have to at some point, but other than that, I would definitely recommend picking up Wii Switch Sports if you really like the Wii Sports games. I don't know if that helps sell either of you guys on it or whatever, but I don't know.
Yeah. I love how you almost said Wii Sports there, because I've caught myself saying that so many times. Every time I refer to this game, it's no, that's not Wii Sports. Yeah. Yeah, I think I still feel the same way that I felt when it was first announced. Like if I end up having more people over to our house and that sort of thing, and like back in the day when I did have Wii Sports and even Wii Sports Resort, we were having people over a lot more, and it was something that would always be played. That, and like I remember the Wii U days was like that, and the Super Mario or the Pac-Man game that had like all the different games. I forget what it's called now.
Nintendo Land.
Nintendo Land,
yeah. That was like our go-to games, like for the longest time. Like everybody went like, let's play Switch. I'm doing the opposite side thing. Wii Sports. Let's play some Nintendo Land. And so if that thing happens again, I could see myself. I just don't know. I don't know if I would enjoy it as much just local or online only. I don't know. What are you thinking, Barry?
I played the test when they did that, and I had a lot of fun with it. But even Wii Sports, I didn't really play that by myself. I mainly played that when I went to my dad's house because he had a Wii, and it was like, oh, everyone's together, we're all gonna play like in a party type setting, for sure. But by myself, I don't think so. And while I have it, I haven't felt compelled to crack it open to play. I know, if I did, I already experienced half the game already, and I enjoyed it, but I know that I'm gonna be like, all right, let me bowl a game or two of bowling, and I'll be like, all right, I'm done. Let me play a round or two of tennis, and I'm done. And I'll see everything I really want to do by myself within, an hour or so. And I'd rather just spend that time playing a game I'm really going to enjoy as opposed to I'm doing this for the sake of doing it. Now, again, if I have people over and we're like, oh, we should get together, that's a different story.
Mm-hmm.
But I own it. I already own it, but
Mm-hmm.
it's still sealed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can only actually unlock those things by playing online. So at least it's not like you can just cheese it and play locally and just like, oh, I pretend to have a second player that's not even playing kind of thing. I mean, so that part, I guess, is kind of nice. And like they give you like scores and rankings based on like the amount of points and how well you do in each of the games. So like you're constantly unlocking stuff, and it doesn't take more than a few hours just to get like an entire collection of the 12 items. So each present is like 100 points, and each collection only has 12 of them, so it's whatever 1,200 points for one collection. And I think there's only 3 active at a time, so like in the next few days the soccer collection will be going away, and then next week there'll be the relaxation set will be going away. And I'm sure you guys saw on Discord that Roth said that the dark set was the most recent one, so it was it's also a pretty neat collection. I did that one first, even though I probably should have done the more time sensitive one. But considering I played it so much, I already got the more time sensitive one already. So
yeah, I do like how they're doing that, because I think that's the incentive to keep playing. If you're a collector, you want to like, oh, I want to get everything that's available. That will give you a lot of incentive to keep going back to that game over and over for sure.
It's smart
yeah,
for sure.
yeah. I have no idea how they'll rewind it. I'm sure they'll be at some point down the future. They'll have like a rerun of the items, because obviously there's constantly people getting the game later and later as the game lives on. So I have no idea how they plan to combat that, or if they're just an expanded or something, or unless it'll be like alongside of other new items. I have no idea how they think they'll do that. But
yeah. Jakester is wondering if he's the only one that wasn't a fan of Nintendo Land. Greg, you weren't a huge fan of Nintendo Land?
not really. I didn't really have any friends to try like the Metroid game and like the Find Me and any of the other things. So like they didn't really have any AIs available. Like you had to use human players. So it's like I don't even think I've really even opened up those to begin with. So it was just like, oh, the DK Crash Course, because it's a single player game.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. If you didn't have people over or anything like that, yeah, I could see that game wouldn't be very fun at all. There's not a whole lot
I'm in
to
the
do.
same boat. I really didn't do a lot in Nintendo Land either when I got it. It was one of those things where I got it, I messed around with it, I enjoyed what I did play, but then I was limited just by myself, and my wife was like, I'm not interested right now. So we were when it came out, we were getting ready for a trip down south to visit the in-laws. So I only had like a day or two with it, and then by the time I got back, it was just like, no, there are other things I want to play. I think I was doing 3DS stuff at that point.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, the 3DS was still going really strong at that point. Like,
Oh yeah,
it was
just came out.
Yep.
But like, yeah, the Wii U had a super slow start, and that game wasn't for me to like want to play it all the time. I mean,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because by the time I had other games and stuff, I was like, oh, you want to play Nintendo Land? No, let's play Smash Brothers 4. Like, why would you want to play Nintendo Land?
Yeah. All right. Well, let's jump into this week's news topics, or this episode's news topics. And we're going to first go over to some sales results. And Nintendo has recently had their quarterly meeting and telling all about their sales results for the 2021 and 2022 fiscal year, which runs from January, or so their last quarter was January to March, and then they talked about the whole fiscal year. And in that, they talked about how the Switch sold 4.11 million in that quarter, which now puts them over 107.65 million lifetime to date sales, surpassing the PS4, I believe, in the United States only, I think is the only numbers we have right now. But I'm guessing it's probably going to surpass PS4 if it hasn't already worldwide numbers. But US is the only numbers I think we've gotten so far from that. And then we also got numbers from the second quarter, which tells us that the Nintendo Switch is leading sales numbers once again. Not to be, outdone. The PS5, I believe, is the top dollar selling, but the Switch has sold the most units. So because the price differences, that's the cause there. But Lego Star Wars Saga, in spite of the glitch on the Switch, it's also taking the number one spot of all the different games out there. Kirby's still at number 2. Switch Sports, which we just talked about, is number 3, and of course Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is still holding on there at number 4 of the top 10 best sellers. You can find all this information on our site, NintendoFuse.com. But what do you guys think about Switch passing up the PS4? We kind of thought it was going to happen. It was just an inevitable sort of thing, and now it's officially done. Is there, we've asked this question before, how far is it going to go? But let's just reflect a little bit on this and speculate a little bit how long it's going to still stay at the charts and how far it's going to go. So, Barry, what are you thinking about all this?
I mean, we kind of expected this, and it's interesting that of all the territories, US is the first one where Switch overtook the PS4. I kind of expected that to be Japan, but I guess COVID has kept more people at home. I know Japan is a very mobile country, but I think the PS4 was at like 117 million or something like that. Like I think it's still a little ways away from fully eclipsing it, and the PS4 is still selling, so that goalpost is still moving. But do I think the Switch is going to outsell the PS4? Yes, I do. And the main reason is the PS5. The PS5 exists, so if someone has the opportunity to get a PS4 or a PS5 and they could afford, it's a no-brainer to get the PS5 because the PS5 plays PS4 games. So you're getting 2 systems as opposed to just one. There is no Switch 2 yet. So as long as there's no Switch 2 yet, if you want Nintendo games, you're going to get a Switch. So because of that, I think the Switch is going to outsell the PS4 in the end. Will it beat the DS or the PS2? I doubt it. I'd like to see it, but I doubt it. But it's great to see it continue. There was the rumors about the Switch OLED not having 4K because of the chips and all that stuff. So what I'm hoping is that Nintendo decided to start getting those chips last year and just chose not to put them in the Switch OLED and has been stockpiling them and getting them as many as they can starting from last year so that maybe next year or the year after when they do launch a Switch 2, they have a stockpile of those chips and they can come out of the gates and say, here it is, and we have enough to meet the demand. That would be amazing. That's what I would like to see.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, there you have it on screen now. Yeah, PS4 is 117, so I was close. I do think it'll beat the Game Boy as well, and I hate that they put Game Boy Color with Game Boy. Bothers me. But yeah, I think Switch is going to be number 3. I do not know if it's going to top on 1 or 2.
Yeah,
that's a real lofty goal.
it's quite a bit more to sell, especially if it's on. If we actually are going to see a new console soon. And I think for me, like we've talked about this before, but it all depends on if they make it just the next version, like Switch 2.0, then those sales numbers will probably be wrapped up together like the Game Boy and Game Boy Color, and then we'll see those numbers just go way, 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 way higher than the PS2. But yeah.
What's crazy is, the PS4 came out in 2013, and 117.2 million is obviously a fantastic number. Absolutely, congratulations to Sony on that. And I love the PS4. I think it's a great system. The Switch is 10 million, or a little less than 10 million behind it, and is 4 years less on the market, which is pretty incredible.
Mm-hmm.
or really 3.5 years, because I think the PS4 came out at the tail end of 2013, and the Switch was March 2017. So we'll say 3.5 years, but still, that's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Greg, what do you think? Like, is it gonna definitely pass the PS4? Where do you think it's gonna go?
I definitely agree with Barry and see it passing the Game Boy and Game Boy Color. Obviously would love it to see it top the PlayStation 2. That would be incredible, but it obviously really depends. I think at this point, like the upcoming software. If Nintendo does do a Nintendo Direct for this June and they bring out some more things like people have been looking for, like perhaps like a F-Zero game or a new Star Fox game, like this can overtake it if there's going to be the games coming to provide for it. I mean, that's usually what helps sell these systems, at least this late in the life cycle, because it just adds more to the library of games that are already there. Like there's already numerous games that we've all agreed that would are easily to purchase the Switch right now, but they're also living in this phase where you don't know if we're getting like a successor. Are we getting like another like Switch Pro model? I mean, that's the other thing that could really throw a fork into this. So if they announce that the next successor it is the Switch 2 or Switch U or new Super Switch Plus, I mean, I don't know. I mean, just throwing out those random names that they like to go with, but that would obviously cannibalize it to stop to hit it going towards the DS or the PS2. But it really depends on the software that they have coming out over the next like few years, and also depends on how far away the Switch successor really actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Nintendo will not admit to it until they're ready to announce it, but obviously that can kind of be slowing down sales as people are kind of expecting an announcement, especially with all these Switch Pro rumors that have been going on. It's kind of hard to know like what exactly is going on.
Yeah. Yeah. We want to make sure that you guys know that you're in the chat. Let us know what you guys think about all this, how far you think it's going to go. If you're watching after the fact on YouTube, let us know in the comments what you think about this story as well. I'm interested too. Like, I think, the Wii had a life cycle, longer than, after the Wii U came out, the Wii U was still selling, because I think it got that kind of the market. But it also kind of, we thought, I think, hit that saturation point with the Wii. Now the Switch has this option, like there are multiple Switches per household. A lot of times there weren't multiple Wii per household, but I think there are multiple Switches per household because it's also a handheld device, a handheld console. So do you think even if they do come out with this, PS or not PS, Switch Plus or Switch 2 or whatever, will it still have life beyond the new console, or were they abandoned? I mean, of course we don't know, but I tend to think this could be one of those that they could keep around. And I think we've speculated this before, that they keep the Switch around as maybe that lower price entry point, even if they do have the Switch Pro. What do you think about that, Barry?
So it really depends. The stars have to align. And if you look, you look at the Wii sales and you look at the DS sales, obviously both are very, very well. And they both existed at the same time. So you saw Nintendo divided, and they did that. So if you look at the Switch and go, wow, the Switch has sold 107 million, that's fantastic. You also have to realize that in 5 years, if you look at the first 5 years of the DS and the first 5 years of the Wii, that was probably close to, if not over 200 million at the same time period. And that's significantly different. And Nintendo right now only has the one console. So if they do a Switch 2 and they keep the Switch alive, that could obviously help bolster Switch numbers and do like an introductory, oh, you don't want to get them the more powerful. Well, a Switch Lite will work, it's cheap. Then yes. The Wii and the number one selling video game console of all time, the PlayStation 2, had a very symbiotic relationship that I think a lot of people forget about. The reason the Wii had games, had third-party support, was 100% because of the PS2. Because if you look at the attach rate on the Wii attach rate was garbage. It was hands down garbage. The majority of people just got Wii Sports, Wii Play, and that was it. Maybe Mario Kart. Third-party support started dwindling. Third-party games sold terribly. but they existed because they were able to justify doing a special build for the Wii because they could also port it to the PS2 and the PSP to a lesser extent. If it wasn't for the PS2 and the PSP, the Wii would have had a much smaller library. Not saying it wouldn't have sold the same, but it would have had a lot less support. And that by the same stance, if the Wii didn't exist, the PS2 would not be the number one selling console. The PS2 kept going because third parties kept putting games on there, and it was a very symbiotic relationship between those two systems. If you look at it now, the Switch has no counterpart. So if someone's going to make a game that works on the Switch, they have to purposely do a new build. And the Switch sales do justify it to an extent, but not for every game.
Hmm.
And that's why we're still seeing less and less. Now, it can run some PS4 and Xbox One games, but those systems are being phased out for the PS5 and the Series X, which it cannot run those games. The Switch can't run PS5 and Series X games. So as the PS4 and the Series X or the Xbox One get phased out more and more, now third parties have to decide, do we make a dedicated Switch build? And indies, no problem. Nintendo, no problem. But real third parties, AAA third parties, Assassin's Creed coming out. Is there going to be a Switch version? Well, all we've seen thus far are older games ported.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to say, there's a new PS5 Assassin's Creed? Well, let's dub it down and make a 360 version for the Switch.
Yeah.
Probably not, because they can't also release it on 360 or PS4 or Xbox One. So it really has to justify the cost. And if they decide, oh, we're going to do it, and then it sells terribly, they're not doing it again because
Mm-hmm.
it didn't sell well. So it really will depend on how everything goes.
Yeah. Yeah. And Kevin mentioned something in the chat that I think I think I'm thinking along the same lines as him. It's like I think if they put out like this new model but keep the Switch Lite around, I feel like that would be the console that they'll keep around, almost like they'll move the hybrid up to whatever the next thing is, but keep the Switch Lite around as an entry point at a low price. It's also a little more disposable if it's at a low price too, so if you drop it, no big deal. But you have the Pro model that has the new stuff and everything. But if you get into it and like it's 120, 130 bucks or something like that at some point, and then you got a huge library, a gigantic library of games that maybe you can get into it late, but you can play most of those on the go. But then you have your Pro model or whatever at home. That's what I'm kind of thinking. They'll probably go that direction. Logically, that makes sense. Who knows? It's a Nintendo, but that's what
Yeah,
I'm kind of thinking.
I agree with you, but I'm kind of curious on one thing. If you look at the 3DS, just last generation, they kind of did that with the 2DS, right? The 2DS was the introductory
Mm-hmm.
3DS model. At the end of the 3DS's life, they re-released the 2DS as the new 2DS XL with
Mm-hmm.
newer features, better, processor, all that stuff, new form. Do you think we will see a new Switch Lite that has like an OLED screen, like a Switch Lite OLED, since it'll be portable only,
Mm.
this is our new introductory model, but we're also upgrading it as well, and that will be the new Switch model then?
I definitely think. I mean, that makes sense. I think it depends on what their stock is. I guess like they would need to get rid of that, or can they? Is there some way to switch it over or something like that? But yeah, I could definitely see them doing that sort of thing again. It makes a lot of sense. What do you think, Greg?
I mean, it certainly kind of seems like it, but I know like they've gotten a lot of flack because like when the Wii, like the last Wii models, like they were like stripping out everything. Like, oh, you're not gonna be able to connect, even go to the Wii Shop channel. You can't play GameCube games. Like,
That's
so it was
very
like,
true.
so that we've
Gotta love
also
the Wii
seen the
Mini.
op. And then even like the Game Boy Micro came out at that weird time, and it was like wasn't really an upgrade for the SP. So it was
Mm.
like they do have their not so good side of things as well. I mean, I don't know how well that 2DS Plus that Barry was talking about did, but I think normally if you're trying to get like that kind of console, normally you go for like the most powerful one, and you probably would want the standard 3D, like the new 3DS that plays like the Xenoblade Chronicles and the other games that were exclusive to the 3DS. But I don't know.
Actually, you would say that, but I think right now the new 2DS XL is probably the most desired
Hmm.
because the form factor, it fits really well, and most people who played the 3DS never played it with the 3D on anyway.
The new 2DS is a fantastic system. Like they finally figured out how to do that. It's super light. The battery is amazing, and it's got a great screen for what it is, and the price point is great as well. Yeah, I think I forgot about this, Greg, but you brought it up. Like they've done this before. Like when they bring out the new system, all of a sudden they have this new iteration of the old one, like the Game Boy, Pocket, the Wii, whatever that was called, all
Wii
the
Mini.
Wii Mini. Yeah, but they're
Don't forget about
always
the top loader NES and the SNES Mini.
there. You go. Okay, so almost like I have the top loader NES, and that was fine, but a lot of them were not so good. But the new 2DS XL was actually, I think they beefed it up in a good way, and I think I agree with you, Barry. I would say it's probably one of their best sellers, and I think it's why they're probably still making money off of it to this day because of that. So they've kind of gone both ways, I guess. They've had some really crappy new iterations at the end, and they've had some good ones. Who knows where it's going to go, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really determines if it is like a Switch successor versus a Switch remodel. Like, if it is the successor, then it's not going to be counted with the Switch sales, and it'll be an entirely new entry to work its way up. But obviously, that backwards compatibility is really what's going to really help if it is a new model to begin with, because it'd be really silly to disregard that.
Yeah. Let's go to the chat real quick. Kevin says OLED light is where it's at. That would be fantastic. It would be tempting for me to buy another light if they came out with an OLED version for sure. Jake Steer said he never played the 3DS in 3D because it's hurt his eyes and gave him a headache in 10 minutes. Man, that's awful. The new 3DS 3D was a lot better for sure. I still think it's cool. Like, even though I don't play it very often, I don't even remember the last time I booted up my 3DS, but I still think it's a cool technology. It's a fun experience, even if you don't use it very often. It almost seems like magic still that it works. Jokester says, got two of the 2DS XLs, love that system. Wish the top screen wasn't so floppy and flimsy, but other than that, it's really great. I agree, yeah. And mine's pretty much just on display. I still play if I play the 2DS, 3DS stuff, it's my new 3DS XL is the one I'll go to. But like I said, I can't remember when I turned it on last. Was probably, I think, when we got that notification that that everything was going to shut down. And I think I booted it up that day to see if I had any remaining credits or whatever that I needed to use. But I think that was about the last time I turned it on. So I don't know. Let's move on though, because we got a little more stories to talk about tonight. And one of the big things is a Nintendo dropped an Indie World Showcase recently. So Barry, tell us all about that.
Yeah, so like clockwork, when we usually do an episode, Nintendo likes to drop an announcement right after. And even though we recorded live, so we recorded recorded in advance, so we had several days prior to the air date. This still came out right after our aired episode. So leave it to Nintendo to give us something else to talk about. So an Indie World was announced the day before. They did really quick announcements. So May 11th, they dropped about 20 minutes, about 20 games were shown off. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through the games really quickly, and then we'll sit and discuss what we thought. And if I butcher any of these names, blame Steve, because that's why I'm covering this instead of him, because he didn't want to butcher any names.
All right, so we got way too many in the past.
So we got Ooblets coming this summer, Batara Lost Heaven coming in the fall, Elekhead coming this summer, Soundfall, which dropped that day, so it's out now, Wild Frost this holiday, Totally Accurate Battle Simulator this summer, a Gunbrella in 2023, We Are OFK this summer, Silt in June, Mini Motorways, which dropped on the date, so it's out now, Wayward Strand on July 21st, Cult of the Lamb 2022, so sometime this year, another Crab's Treasure next year, One Shot World Machine Edition is coming this summer, Gibbon Beyond the Trees dropped that day, so that's out now, Idol Manager which is coming August 25th. Card Shark on June 2nd. Cursed to Golf, which sounds like a nightmare to me, is coming this summer. A Guidebook of Babel, which is coming in the fall. And finally, Opus, Echo of Star Song, Full Bloom Edition, which dropped that day. So that's also out right now. A lot of shadow drops. Greg, let's go with you. What did you think?
I mean, overall, I didn't catch a lot of stuff that was really terribly interesting, but one of the biggest ones that stood out to me was that Elect Head game. Like, I really liked the puzzling elements of like using like your character's head to like trigger different like electrical theme puzzles. It almost seemed like a more advanced version of almost like Elect Man stage from the original Mega Man. But that to me looked like it was the most fun. That's almost like a guaranteed pickup for me. I'm trying to think of a few of the other ones that really stood out, but that was like the one that it was way over the top, at least for me to like be on the lookout for. So I'll review the list while Steve is chatting, and I'll probably have another one or two that I remember that I want to talk about more in depth.
Yeah. I believe every one of these games were incredibly forgettable. And I think that's why you're not coming up with any games there, Greg, because I can't come up with any of them either. I mean, definitely the one that stands out, that stood out to a lot of people, was Gunbrella. It's just a really interesting take, this like woodsman on a quest, and like it's a punk rock kind of noir game, but you have a umbrella that's a gun. Like, that's just weird. It's cool. It's like definitely seems like something that could be fun with the combat and the using the umbrella and the gun together and stuff like that. But I think like most of the stuff that I watched that day was incredibly forgettable. And it's cool to see some of these games, like what's a game called? It's like a totally accurate battle simulator. So Tabs, to come to Switch. I was never into Tabs on the other systems, so but I know a lot of people are. But I feel like it's kind of almost one of those like too little, too late kind of thing. Like, people that are playing this are like already into it on other systems. Like, is this really going to matter coming to the Switch this late? So even though I'm sure it's a great game, but it's too little, too late. But that was kind of just my overall thoughts. I'm sure there's some fantastic games, but most of them, if not all of them, just kind of left me going, good, solid, but nothing blew me away, I guess, by this presentation.
I think it was like that Gunbrella game, and then I did find a little interest in that Crab's Treasure game. That did sound kind of interesting, like the way you can switch all these different shells, and each one has different armor settings and stuff. That one did seem kind of fun and interesting as well. But I think the ones that, like you were saying, a lot of these were like, it could be really cool, but it's wasn't enough to like, oh, I have to get this.
See, I found upon first watching, I had the same kind of response about forgettable, and I think that happens a lot of time when you're shown trailer by trailer by trailer by trailer by trailer. It's because you just can't. It goes in one ear out the other kind of deal. Like, you don't have time to digest what a game is because you have another one shoved in your face. And I think that's the problem with a lot of video game presentations. And I've found myself rewatching, like, even the Nintendo Directs, and it's just been like, oh, I totally forgot they showed up this game. This game looks really good. Like, I need to put this on my radar. So I had the same thing. So I rewatched it a little slower, digested the games, and I found a couple that really stood out to me. Batara Lost Heaven looks really cool. I like action RPGs, and it just I love the graphics. I'm interested to know about the story. Leckhead, as Greg said, I think everyone universally was like, "Oh yeah, this game looks great." Reminded me kind of like Box Boy in a sense, like that game's same kind of style. So really interested to see where that goes. Soundfall. Uh, I'm not huge into rhythm games, but after Cadence of Hyrule, I was like, I can see myself giving this a shot because I did enjoy Cadence of Hyrule, and I mean, I played that one because of Zelda, but so I could see myself, going to that. Gunbrella, of course, Gunbrella looks amazing. Devolver Digital, does a lot of great stuff, so that absolutely has my interest. Silt looked really interesting too, going down into the ocean, and
Mm.
it kind of reminds me a little bit of Song of the Deep
Mm.
with some puzzle, aspects, and I'm interested to see how that goes. Uh, and then the last two I'd say would be the Another Crab's Treasure. Looked like fun, although I'm really curious about the tripping thing. Like, did you not learn from Brawl?
Right.
But it does look interesting. Like, it looks like something I would try. Even though, again, I'm not huge into Soul games, maybe, thanks to Elden Ring, I'd give it a shot. And the last one that kind of got me was Card Shark, just because, I think there's something to be said about like card type games, like poker type games like that, because it's such an old, game. It's something that's built into our real world, and there is a meta game in addition to the real game. And the whole poker face thing, like that's a real thing, and how you react to things, and how you like adding that level into the game. I think that's cool, and I think that could be a lot of fun reading people. And we saw that in like L.A. Noire. If you ever played L.A. Noire, where you interviewed people and interrogated people, and you actually had to go off of how they reacted when you asked questions and stuff. I like that stuff, so that could, if done well, could be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've not been into too many card kind of games for a long time, because they're basically the same thing. It's just a new aesthetic every time you get one. But Card Shark was interesting. I was like, oh, if I'm gonna get back into a game like that, this might be something that does it, because they did throw that other aspect into it that you're supposed to kind of cheat your way through and that sort of thing. And that could be fun to play instead of just traditional poker or whatever. Now there's that meta game within it, so that is kind of an interesting experience, I think. The other thing that I thought was, again, I'm probably not going to play it, but I love the concept of it. But the Guidebook of Babel, just because I love the butterfly effect kind of stuff, and so like I'm so intrigued. I think that's one of the reasons why I like Life is Strange kind of stuff or whatever. The decisions you make can like have these ripple effects, and I love when developers are able to kind of work in that stuff. And so I'm intrigued by the game. I probably won't play it, but I love the concept behind that kind of stuff. It's really cool. So, anything else, Greg?
Not really. I mean, I don't know too much about like the card stuff. I know it gets like a really bad rep when it's like included in Paper Mario and whatever. So like, I don't know. Like card games in video games hasn't really been like a huge like interest for me. Like I would much rather just play the card game with people and actual deck of cards. But yeah,
Makes sense.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just get bad taste in my mouth after they tried doing the card stuff with Paper Mario, and like feels like, oh, you're losing this card forever. You have to go buy another one just to use it again. Like that. I don't know. I don't like that kind of stuff.
You can't let Paper Mario be the dictator on card games or any games that include cards, because you are missing out on some fantastic games. Like you're going back and playing a lot of GameCube games. I'm going to recommend a great game for you. It's a series on GameCube called Bait and Kados. There's two of them. They're RPGs and with fantastic stories, and they do use cards. And you don't lose cards. It's your cards are your attacks. Done extremely well. Made by Monolith Soft. The second game, it was actually published by Nintendo, so I don't know if it's considered a Nintendo IP or Bandai Namco owns it or who owns it, but I highly recommend you go back and play that. It is so good, and will probably change your tune on card-based games that are in other genres like role-playing games and stuff like that. Because Paper Mario is never like Sticker Star, like Sticker Star and Color Splash. Never use those to cite examples for an entire genre. Those are the worst examples you could use.
I mean, I was just trying to go based off of my experience of what I've actually played. I mean, I just see cards and it gives me like PTSD kind of thing.
You
Like
need to get
no,
over
like
that, man.
That's fun. Let's see. Let's go to the chat real quick. Jokester says Gunbrella is the one he's excited about. Also needs a physical, so you need the people to talk to about that. And then Jakester, none of the games really caught his attention. iDrewby says Soundfall sounds pretty great. That was a title I was waiting for a long time. Jakester says Ooblets was the only thing I'd heard of because of the controversy with the Epic Game Store. I missed out on that, but it doesn't surprise me that Epic Game Store had a controversy because I feel like every time I turn around, Epic is having some sort of controversy around a store. And Kevin Wallace is excited about, I think, asking about the Card Shark game. And Jokester says they're amazing. Barry is right. Nintendo needs to bring that series back. I'm assuming he's talking about the cards. Yeah, okay. So cool. Well, let's. I think that's pretty much wrapped up our Indie World Showcase conversation. If you have not checked out the full list, or if you missed the entire presentation, you can check all of that out on NintendoFuse.com. We've got the full list of the games. You can also click over and kind of watch or check out any of the games on Nintendo's website from our site as well, but also watch the entire presentation. So if you missed out on that, be sure to check it out. All right, well, let's move into some headlines and make sure you guys know about some different things going on in the Nintendo world or the video game world. And first of all, Greg's going to kick us off with a story that some of you guys might know about. But Greg, fill us in on what's going on with EA.
Yeah, so EA is apparently might be looking to join the list of publishers that's going to be up for sale or like merge with some other ones. This one comes right out of Kotaku. So basically, we've heard the story that EA's already lost their FIFA license. So this is kind of drawing potential acquisition talks that maybe like another company like Disney or Apple might be willing to pick them up, or perhaps it's something deeper where they will merge with another company and combine IPs. I mean, we've covered this in our last podcast as well with other the I'm blanking on the name, but pretty much it was that other company that picked up all of Square's IPs, and this is just something along those. Yeah, the group one. Yeah, so there's some obviously discussions if EA is going to be the next one to follow suit with that.
And we already talked about Nintendo Switch having their own Mario Strikers game called Battle League, and that's coming out on January. I'm going back in time, June 10th, and so just around the corner. But Nintendo surprised us with another trailer. Back on May 12th, and highlighted some different elements that are going to be in the game this time. So it's a 5v5 soccer-style game. They're actually calling it Strike this time instead of just calling it like a version of soccer. They're actually calling it Strike, and you're going to have team tackles, so you can bump your teammates into to another player to cover ground in your tackle. There's a hyper strike mode, which you get this strike orb and you charge it up and shoot, and you can actually get 2 points instead of 1. There's unique characters, so before you picked your captain and a secondary character, and all the secondary characters on your team were the same. This time you can actually pick unique characters for each of the positions. And then there's also going to be a Strikers Club, which you can form a club of up to 20 members, and you'll have rankings, promotions, all those different things within that season. So there will be a seasoned online game similar to all the other games out there like Fortnite and Rocket League and all that stuff that has seasons. Expect seasons in Mario Strikers Battle League.
Speaking of announcements of games and new things, there's been a little tease going on Twitter from Fall Guys Twitter, and like, oh, big announcement, big announcement. And it was kind of funny because we are all just like, yeah, we know what's coming because you already talked about this last year. The Fall Guys is coming to Switch, and sure enough, Fall Guys is coming to Switch. It's coming on June 21st. But the biggest surprise is that it's going to be free to play. And we'll be interested to see how many people decide to pick up Fall Guys now that it's going free to play. And it's going free to play on all platforms, not just the Switch. Um, but for those that have been holding out, they're going to get their chance to tackle the obstacle courses this June.
And just a quick reminder, if your time has gotten away from you, like I'm sure a lot of us here at NintendoFuse it has, today is May 23rd, and it is actually the day, starting tomorrow, you will no longer be able to use a credit card to add funds to the Nintendo eShop for Wii U and 3DS. So if you're looking to pick up a few items off your backlog, you'll have to move forward just collecting those prepaid cards and to redeem them there.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, make sure you do that. Barry, any thoughts about any of these new stories? Anything jump out to you?
The whole EA thing kind of makes me wonder if this is like sinking ship mentality, right? One company buys another one. You had the Bethesda purchase last year was it? And now you have the Activision Blizzard, and then you have the Bungie, and it's just like Square Enix selling off, and it's almost like, well, all these companies are selling and merging and stuff, and maybe this is a sinking ship. Maybe we should stop doing video games. Like I don't know, like we're not making as much, even though we're still making millions and billions and whatever. I don't know. It almost feels like they're doing it for the headline, or or the higher ups are just looking to retire, and they want to retire with a lot of money, and they'll be like, oh, well, as part of the buyout plan, if I sell you, I want a nice pension and to leave and retire and screw everyone else. So I think it'd be interesting to see. I'd love it if it won't happen, and I think third parties need to stay third parties, and I stand behind that. But I think it would be hilarious if Nintendo buys them. They won't, but think it'd be hilarious if they do. But like I see all these people going like Sony should buy Square Enix. Like no, Nintendo, Sony, and actually Microsoft, they shouldn't be buying any of them because they should be impartial. Now Microsoft is at least being nice with their acquisitions, and they're letting them still develop for other systems because Microsoft actually, I don't think they value their own system as well as just the market, and they're like, oh yeah, the service is more what they're going for, and that's fine. Sony and Nintendo wouldn't do that, or wouldn't do that a lot. If they bought, they would keep close to their chest, and I think that's bad for the industry. I think third parties and competition is good. So I really hope EA stays EA, but I guess we're going to find out. As for the eShop on the Wii U and the 3DS, we've known this for a while. I'm debating if I want to go back and buy something, but I probably won't because I'm lazy. And I never played Fall Guys, so maybe I'll give it a shot since it's free to play. But it'll probably be like my experience with Multiverses, where I'd be like, all right, you know what? I played a round or two. That was kind of fun. And then I probably won't play again. So we'll see. And I'm interested in Mario Strikers. I'll interested to see how it goes, and just hope there's enough content to keep it there as opposed to just the main game or tournament. Like I know there's a battle mode, but like I really hope there's enough content, single player content, to keep my attention more than a day.
Yeah. What are you thinking, Greg?
Definitely agree on the Mario Strikers. It'd be nice if they do like a mission mode, kind of like they redid with like Mario Tennis Aces and like some of the other. I believe it's also in Mario Golf they had like mission mode as well too. So it'd be nice if they continue that trend with Strikers. I know my daughter's very excited for Fall Guys. She's even told me like, "Oh, there's this game called Fall Guys coming out on the Switch soon." I'm like, "Yeah, I kind of had heard they announced it like over a year ago, or whatever that was from that Nintendo Direct." And even then, I was like, "Oh, I think I'd kind of want that game." And then it just kind of fell off the radar as like the Switch version never came out. So I guess it's nice that we're finally getting that, and free to play can be pretty decent as long as it's not going to be overwhelmed with the microtransactions, because that's will definitely kill the free to play version, obviously. And then yeah, who knows what's going on with EA? Are they getting set up to be bought or whatever? Who knows? It's never really know where these things go until like they make those formal announcements. It's kind of looking like that's going to follow suit with like how it's like with the Square selling off their parts and whatnot, but you would think like EA would be content just to stay as their own publisher, but who really knows at this point?
Yeah, that's true. Greg, I can't wait till your daughter is able to be a news correspondent for us. She's already looking at upcoming games. It's gonna be great. We're gonna have a
Yeah,
new team
she
member.
does. Yeah, she does love looking at those Switch videos that like showing off like the trailers. Like if she's just like having like a dinner, she'll like load up that Nintendo News channel and play like a trailer for like Forgotten Land or whatever, and like
Nice.
she's checking out, actually making use of that red icon that all of us kind of loathe for kind of sticking out on our backgrounds.
The rest of us forget about, and she's going for it. That's awesome. Yeah, I think really interesting with EA. Like I the whole like losing the FIFA license was kind of interesting, and it just seems like it's snowballing from that. And I don't know what's going to happen. It's weird because they're not the same company that they used to be, like having these, juggernaut kind of titles that are just dominating the market like they once did. And so it is interesting. And I hope, as much as we like to give them a hard time, I don't like seeing like this stuff happen. And I wish they were, able to get back to that, that quality that they once were. But the truth is, like, I was looking at the top FIFA games, like the ratings, and it's been like 10 years since they've had a good quality. Well, I won't say 10 years. It's like been like 7 years, I think. I think FIFA 2016 was like the last like top rated game. But since then, all of them have been like near the bottom of all the rankings. Madden's not been doing well. I think the latest version of Sims is just kind of like holding on, but people aren't playing it as much anymore. And they haven't really had like this presence like they used to. And so I hope they don't fall apart. But who knows? And if they do sell, maybe it's someone that can actually rework things and maybe bring them back to where they need to be.
I mean, I agree with you there, and I think the main reason is one, EA. I believe it was EA was the one that made a stance like people don't want single player games. Single player games are dead, and the rest of like every other company was just like no and did single player games, and EA lost money and faith on that. And two, all these games like their biggest property are yearly properties, and people get tired. Like don't get me wrong, there's people who play every Madden and every FIFA and every NBA, and they're gonna have that, but there's a point where it's diminishing quality, and they start seeing that. And when the last few Maddens, the last few FIFAs are not as well received, people will just say, give me a roster update for FIFA 16, and I'm fine with that. It plays just what I need. And I think EA needs to move into more original stuff, and they have the EA or originals in there. They do some really cool stuff with that, but that's not going to save them. And they have Star Wars. I mean, they got Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was really awesome, and they're doing a sequel, but that may not be enough either.
Right.
They'll probably use that as a bargaining chip if they can. Although if they sell, they might lose that license because that license is probably non-transferable.
Right. That'd be interesting who picks it up, since Disney doesn't have their own game company anymore.
They do. I think they do now.
Oh, they restart it back? Okay.
I think
that's cool. Maybe we'll have another Disney Infinity then. A lot of people will be excited about that.
You know what their downfall was? Is just stop supporting Nintendo. That's why EA's gone down.
That partially probably truth. Yeah, you guys know because I'm excited about Mario Strikers. I'm kind of nervous though, because I liked the last one so much that I really hope that I like this. So I'm really excited, but I'm also cautious about it because I hope they didn't change the game too much. And I really want them to bring back Daisy. I don't think we've officially seen Daisy. That was my primary character in the last one, and I'm kind of nervous that we haven't seen her just yet. Maybe she's gonna be there. But as long as like she has the same kind of like power ups and stuff like that, because if not, I may find a new character that I like better. But she was definitely my go-to captain for the last game.
At least it's next level, right? It's the same developers.
Yeah, I think so. And then yeah,
it makes sense to bring it back though. I mean, like
yeah,
I don't know, she's like a major character, especially like the sports and party games. It'd be like releasing a new Mario Kart without like Daisy or whatever. I mean, like what the heck? Like she's been in like every Mario Kart game since like GameCube.
Well, it'd probably be even closer to like leaving out a main character of Smash, because like they have their individual abilities and stuff like that, and a lot of people really did enjoy Daisy. I was not alone in that, and so yeah, hopefully we see her come back, because she definitely had some play style that was very beneficial that I kind of learned to really take advantage of. And then Fall Guys would be great to actually play on my Switch. Like I played it on PlayStation when it was like free for a little bit, and that was fun. But it'd be great to be able to play it whenever I want on the Switch. And yeah, I don't really care about the 3DS or Wii U eShop anymore. Neither does Nintendo. So let's look at the chat real quick before we move on to our next segment. And let's see. Oh, there's been a lot of stuff here. I apologize for missing all of this. Apparently I am time traveling. When did I time travel? Oh, January. That's what I did. Okay. And then Jakester says lost the EA name rights. They renamed their soccer game. Yep. And then Kevin's not a big fan of Fall Guys. Jakester says it's going to take a lot of convincing to get into Fall Guys. Hey, it's free. That's your convincing. Check it out. And then, sorry. And then, yeah. Jokester says, even if someone bought EA, would they be able to save them? That's a really good question. Is it too little too late for that? Yeah, and Jokester also gets tired of the annual releases and feels like the same for Pokemon, Assassin's Creed, even Kingdom Hearts. Those cash grabs of just releasing that annual release. I totally get you, Jokester, and I think a lot of people are getting to that point now where they're just like, stop doing that. Just give me a reason to get this new version of the game. Don't just put out the annual version and expect me to shell out cash all the time. So. All right. Well, before we move into our next segment, we want to make sure that you do check us out on social media. You can follow us at NintendoFuse on Twitter. And if you have not joined our Discord yet, be sure to do that. You'll see the link on the screen of our video version of the podcast, but also in the show notes and the YouTube description. We absolutely love connecting with you all in between the episodes over there on our Discord and social media. So be sure to do that. And if you've not hit the like button or the share button or subscribe on your podcast app, YouTube, any of that stuff, be sure to do that. And if you like what you're listening to, if you like what you see, if your podcast app has the ability for you to leave a review, we'd really appreciate it if you left 5 stars and told us why you like the podcast. And that'd be not only helpful for us, like it's cool for us to read your encouragements and stuff like that, but it also helps other people find the podcast, and you're able to tell them like, hey, this is why you should also listen to this podcast. So thank you for all of you that have done that in the past. And if you've not done that, consider doing that for us. That'd be great. All right, well, let's move into what games are coming out over the next couple weeks. Again, we're not going to be recording live this next episode. I believe it's June, what is it? June 5th, 9th? No, I forget what date it is. 6th?
Yes.
Whatever that Tuesday is, or Monday is, June 6th. So...
in January.
Sometime, our next episode. You guys figure that out. No, the next episode will be pre-recorded, so we won't be live, but normally live every other Tuesday or other Monday. I'm done, guys. It's great. Just take over. I'm gonna peace out. I'm at the end.
That's why I said we were time travelers, Stevie. Keep forgetting the day of the week now. Back on Tuesdays now. And...
That's a kind way of putting it, Greg. Really, I'm just done. But yeah, so normally every other Monday that we would love for you guys to join us live in the chat room. But next episode, 253, will not be live. We'll pre-record that one because I'll be traveling. And then we'll let you guys know as well. We may be taking a little bit of a break throughout the month of July, I believe, with holidays and different things like that going on. So just stay tuned to our social media and our future podcast. We'll let you know about all those programming elements and everything. But over the next 2 weeks, some games are going to be coming out, and we're going to be playing some of them. So scrolling on the video version from Metacritic again, they've got their list of upcoming games that we're going to be scrolling on the screen. But yeah, I think the big one for me is going to be Mario Strikers for sure, coming again on June 8th or June 10th. So just a little past our next episode. But that's the big one that I'm pretty excited about. Barry, any games coming up that you're pretty excited to play, or are you going to be hitting the backlog, or just continuing on at Elden Ring the whole time?
My plan is to finish Elden Ring hopefully this week. That is my goal. Whether I accomplish that or not, I don't know. But I don't have any other game to jump to until I think it is Mario Strikers is the next one that I might like just pick up. So I might go to the backlog and maybe find it. Like Elden Ring was a backlog, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll do something from there. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we'll pick a random thing. But I'm also playing stuff that I can't talk about for premium, so I'll be playing some games. I just can't always talk about them. And maybe another review. Maybe another review for NintendoFuse. We'll see what the game chat will be for the next time.
Cool. How about you, Greg?
Yeah, nothing was really sticking out to me for this set of releases, and obviously, like you, like Mario Strikers is kind of like on the forefront, along with like the Fire Emblem New Hope, or Fire Emblem Warriors New Hope. So I'll be continuing on with Fire Emblem Warriors, like the first one that I'd like to beat. There's no way I do those 100%, so it's more just to wrap up the story and all of that fun stuff there, and then just continue on probably with like Animal Crossing, and hopefully to jump into Three Houses at some point soon, because that's after Warriors on my list.
Nice. As I'm scrolling, I did see Pac-Man Museum. That's a game that I potentially might pick up at some point. It probably won't be one of those that I pick up right away, but I do remember being really excited when that came out, because it's gonna have like several different games, and the problem is I gotta pit it against the other Pac-Man collections that I have already. I'm like, do I want yet another one just because it includes a few new things that I don't have? But I also have Pac-Man like on like 7 different systems or 10 different systems already. Is it worth getting another collection? I don't know, but it is one of the ones that did stand out to me. I think it's out on May 27th. So
Did you hear about the kind of controversy with the new Pac-Man, or at least
no, I
one of
didn't.
the changes they did
Oh no.
in Pac-Land, which is included? It had Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, and their baby in the beginning before Pac-Man went away.
Mm-hmm.
But Bandai Namco does not own the rights to Miss Pac-Man. At Games owns the rights currently to Miss Pac-Man.
Oh.
So they, even though she's in the game, they couldn't use her. So they actually had changed Miss Pac-Man to like what looks like Pac-Man's mom, and it's only in this version of the game. It looks really weird. You can look it up. There's pictures of it, of what they changed her to. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. And again, only this version of Pac-Land is going to be like this.
Oh my gosh, that's so weird. How did they have they have they lost the rights for a long time, or is that recently?
I don't think they ever technically own the rights, because Miss Pac-Man was technically a mod that I think 2 people did to Pac-Man to make it better, and they sold it to arcades like bars and said, "Hey, you have a Pac-Man machine. Do you want to upgrade it? Here's our upgrade." It was an unofficial upgrade, and Namco like found out about it, and they kind of like hired them and brought on and released Miss Pac-Man. But I think those 2 still owned the rights to the character and not Bandai Namco. So somehow, some way, At Games currently owns it, which is why there's the plug-and-play Miss Pac-Man games, but Miss Pac-Man hasn't been on any of the collections, and why like one of the Smash alts for Pac-Man hasn't been Miss Pac-Man, because that would be really obvious. Um, yeah, there you go. You could see the difference between well, because At Games owns the rights to Miss Pac-Man, they've like had to change her around. It's like a mom character. People are calling her Pac Mom.
So it's really just change the colors is all it is, like of the clothes.
Well,
But
no, it's
yeah.
not just the colors. It's like hair instead of a bow. The one on the right is Miss
Oh,
Pac-Man. The
it
one on the
is
left is
hair.
Pac Mom. Yeah,
Okay. I just thought it was another bow, but yeah, I see its hair now. But she's in high heels instead of
yeah, high
galoshes.
heels as well. So people are calling it Pac Mom instead. It's only
That's
in this version.
funny. Well, the good thing is I mean, it doesn't really matter, I guess, in the long run, but I'm not a huge Pac-Land fan anyway. I wouldn't be getting that collection for that game, but that
But
is
now it
really
has a
funny.
story behind it.
That's great. That's great. Oh, let's see what's going on in the chat room. Jakester says I've lost it. It is true. And he also says he's going to be trying out the Splatoon 3 test fire along with Triangle Strategy, Advance Wars, and hopefully start Super Metroid. So that's awesome. Jokester is going to be the kangaroo. Looks pretty neat. And also does not know how they can give us so much Pac-Man, but other classic series just rot away. That's so true. Lots of games that just continue to just fade into the ether. Meanwhile, Pac-Man will not die. Miss Pac-Man might, but Pac-Man will not.
Sounds like Nintendo has that same problem too. I mean, Kid Icarus kind of just rots away. Star Tropics, F-Zero.
The
Just
odds of us
rotting
ever
away.
getting another Star Tropics is so low because Nintendo of Japan didn't do that and they never even got the game over there. Like that is a full American series. So
Yep.
and Nintendo of America hates us, so that's never gonna happen.
Have you guys read Reggie's book yet?
I have it, but I haven't read it.
I haven't read it. Yeah.
I need to get it.
Yeah, I need to as well. I keep seeing all these stories that are coming out about things that were shared in it, and I don't think it's it's not like him. It's like, hey, I'm done now. I'm just gonna tell all these bad things about the company or anything. But it is really interesting some of the stuff that I've been seeing come out from that, some of the little behind the scenes and things that he's more free to talk about now that he's not actually with the company anymore. Yeah, if you have read it, let us know what you think in the comments or in our Discord or social media or anything. We'd love to hear what you guys think about Reggie's book. Barry, what are you going to be doing over the next couple weeks other than playing some Elden Ring?
Gonna be a lot of work with Premium Edition. We've got Series 4 still up. We're halfway through the pre-order cycle now, so we still have 2 more weeks, or a little more than 2 more weeks of pre-orders for Wonderling DX and Rain in Your Parade. So definitely, pick those up at premiumeditiongames.com if you haven't already. We actually just put up, and I'm representing it here, the Switch Collector Volume 1 and 2 are up on the website. We have some extra copies. They are up as of today. So if you missed out on getting those books, they're excellent books. Very, very, well done. They're massive too. They're not like little paperbacks. They are available now. People have been asking for them. I know Greg got his own copies of them as well. And people have been asking. So $50. I mean, Greg's got them. And you can see the size of those things. Then they're hardcover. They are thick. Like these are not little tiny books. So pick those up today if you want. Volume 1 is the first year of the Switch physicals, and the Volume 2 is only the first half of year 2. There's that many physicals that have come out, and it covers a lot of the collecting stuff. So definitely pick those up. I just did an interview earlier today, actually, with the developer of Rain Your Parade, so that's going to go up here soon. So definitely check that out. And I've been on a crap ton of podcasts. Thankfully, people actually wanna talk to me, and
And
I've
some
been
of them
very
even bringing you
grateful.
back.
Yeah. Some of them
Sidekick, is that right? You were on that twice or something like
yeah.
that?
Well, we recorded 2 episodes back to back, so that was kind of fun. A lot of great people. Got to meet some wonderful new people in the industry, and revisit with some great friends. Always a pleasure, and so I'm very thankful to all of them. So if you happen to follow me on Twitter and you've seen any of those posts, please give all of them some love. They're all wonderful people, and I'll be on a few more between now and the next podcast. So I'll look out for those. And yeah, that's mainly mainly what I've been busy doing.
Cool. iDrewby in the chat says that the book is
Yeah.
Reggie's book is a great read, even for just his live lessons, let alone the fascinating stuff behind the scenes of Nintendo as well. And he was also interested in the Switch Collector book, so that's awesome.
Yeah, I Drewby and I did an episode of his show, House of Mario, which is actually just went live right before this podcast. So I haven't shared that yet. I'm going to share it tomorrow. But that went live. Drew is an awesome person. I'm so glad to get to meet him. We did a recording for about an hour and a half, and we stayed on the call for about total 3.5 hours. We just kept talking. We had such a great time, such good chemistry. So definitely check out his podcast, The House of Mario, and I'll be sharing it. If you don't follow him, I'll be sharing it tomorrow. But yeah, thank you also for joining us for this one. He's down in the land down under in Australia, so
Oh,
so
cool.
it's great to have the those connections.
That's awesome. So it's probably like 8 in the morning there, huh? Like that. Drew,
Yeah.
Tell us what time it is there in Australia. I don't know how to do the math that quick. Greg, what are you going to be up to over the next couple weeks?
I'll be helping out Premium as much as I can. I've been situated to be head of distribution, so I've been trying to reach out and get us more distributors for Series 4. So I'll be putting some effort into trying to secure some more people to help stock Premium Edition games. So I'll be one of my side focuses on outside of just enjoying playing some games and having time with my daughter and everything for this. I mean, she'll be out of school in the next pretty much shortly after the next podcast, so then we'll have all summer long to have fun.
Nice. That's awesome. It's 11:50 a.m. It's not even close to 8 a.m., which I thought. That's great.
Your time traveling is screwing you up.
Yeah, I'm just all messed up, guys. It's gonna be really interesting. One thing I do know is that our next episode will drop on June 6th, 2022. So again, it's gonna be pre-recorded, but we'll drop it live on our YouTube channel. And if you have not subscribed, if you haven't hit that bell, you can be sure to do that so you get alerted as soon as it drops. We'll drop it at our normal time where we go live 8:30 p.m. Eastern time and 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. And I have no idea what that is in Australia, but I'm sure Drew knows that pretty well. But yeah, make sure you guys do check that out. That'll be that go live or go, what's it called? Premiere, I guess, where as soon as it drops, and then also be available on all podcast apps as well. So be sure you're subscribing, be sure you're sharing it, join us on social media, all that stuff. And until we talk to you guys again, happy gaming, everybody.
Have a good one.
See you next time.